Welcome in the short movie about data governance in Databricks, other words, Unity Catalog. And today we are going to set up the Unity Catalog, assign our first workspace, spin off the Unity compatible clusters. Not all of them are compatible, and I will take you through all the Unity Catalog main functionalities, which are really cool. And at the end, we will go through main topics related with the Unity Catalog which appears on the Databricks exams, just to make sure that we have everything well covered. So today's movie is somehow the entry level, but very important. Let's get started. And before we will jump to the Databricks, 1 minute theory. In the movie about the Databricks architecture, we were saying that we cannot have a proper data platform without a solid data governance, which is here in the red frame. If you haven't seen the movie, I highly recommend a link in the video description. But what we haven't talked about is what this data governance really means. And here comes the trick, because depends whom we are going to ask, we can get a different answer. There is no one clear definition. Fortunately, usually we are going to hear about the 6 things, which I'm going to show you shortly in the Databricks, but before doing that, let's go through them. The first one is a data discovery. We need to have an option to easily find the data we are looking for. If we are looking for the customers, we want to quickly know in which table or wherever else they are. Then we must have mechanism to control access. We have a sensitive data in our tables. We need to control who can view them, who can modify them. Then a data lineage, clear understanding from where the data are coming to us, and on the other hand, who is using our data. Then we are having auditing, other words, who is doing what with the data, cataloging, so an option to describe a table and the columns, and at the end, data quality. From one side, we may want to put some constraints on the data. We want to maybe build a mechanism to control the quality of the data if we have a lot of nulls, if the data is completed, and so on. And if we look on the Databricks main components, here we have the Unity Catalog as the main solution for the data governance, main but not default. By the default, we are going to get a Hive metastore, which is great, but it's very simple. If we turn on the Unity Catalog, which we are going to do that in a minute, we are going to get everything what we are getting with the Hive metastore, plus many other cool features, and it's free. And without further theory, let's jump to the Databricks. Alright. Before we will start playing with the Unity Catalog features, we want to create some workspaces and enable Unity Catalog. If you have already Unity Catalog enabled, you can simply skip that part. So I'm in Microsoft Azure. It's because by fact most people which are using Databricks are using Azure, so this part can be a bit cloud specific, otherwise everything else is the same. And at the beginning I will just find Azure Databricks, and I will follow the standard procedure of creating the workspace. Actually I will create 2 workspaces because I want to show you how to share data between the workspaces. I will select some resource group, doesn't matter. What matters is of course the workspace name. It has to be super cool, like top secret, workspace 1. And then another thing which is very important, I need to pay attention in which region I'm creating my workspace. I will be creating both workspaces in exactly the same region, and in exactly the same region, I will later on create something what is called metastore in the Unity Catalog. And for that purpose, I will just choose UK West, and I need to remember that. And the price tier, I will choose premium. Unity Catalog is not available in the standard tier, it's available in the premium, but there is no reason to be afraid. Almost everything what we are going to do today is going to be for free. We will be spinning off some cluster for a short moment of time, otherwise we are not paying for creating the workspaces or playing with the Unity Catalog. I'm just going to hit create and review, and I will create a second workspace, the same name, just with a different number at the end, so give me a second. And we are back. We've successfully created 2 workspaces. Wow. Top secret workspace 1 and top secret workspace 2. So let's launch one of it. I will click it, and then on the bottom, launch workspace. Once we will log into our workspace, the Unity Catalog will not be set up for us yet. We can check it by going to the catalog, and we are going to see only a Hive metastore. What we want to do, we want to switch to the account level. On the top right side, I will click top secret workspace 1, and over here I have manage account. And this is a secret place where I can set up, I can launch our Unity catalog. To do that, I will go on the left to the catalog over here, and I have here a place to create a metastore. And the metastore is very important, and actually it doesn't happen too often, but this definition over here is very useful. A metastore is a top level container for catalog in the Unity catalog. Within a metastore, Unity catalog provides free-level namespaces for organizing data, catalogs, schemas, and tables views. So in order for us to manage a data, tables, views, volumes, functions, and schemas in the Unity catalog, we need to create a higher level container called a metastore. And Hive is also a metastore, just it's way more limited in the capabilities. Here we are talking about the Unity catalog. So I will click create a metastore. I have one created in the past, but I want to take you through the process of creating that because it's not so straightforward. And at the beginning, we need to set up a proper name. Of course, the only proper name has to start with the top secret metastore. Okay, and region. This is very important. Actually, there are two important rules. First of all, we can have only one metastore per region. And the second important rule is that we must create metastore in the same region we have created our workspaces. And if I remember right, I have created both workspaces in the region UK West, so that's the one I'm going to select here. But then the tricks begins. I need to put a path to the storage, and to be more precise, to the blob container where the Unity catalog will keep a data for the managed tables. And the second thing which I need to populate is to give the reference to the access control. Databricks and the Unity catalog cannot access the storage by itself. In order to allow a Unity catalog to access the storage in Microsoft Azure, we need to create, besides the storage, we need to create an access connector. So those two things, storage and access connector, that's something what we will create in Microsoft Azure. And on the top of that, we will take care about the credentials. So the access connector can actually connect a storage with the Unity catalog, but it will be pretty straightforward. So starting with the storage, I'm going to the storage accounts, and we just want to create the new storage account. The subscription and resource group doesn't really matter. Storage name super important, has to start with the top secret, otherwise doesn't work. Top secret storage. Okay, I hope that it's not taken. No, it's free. Region doesn't matter anymore, but we can set up something close to our UK West for the consistency. Okay, and then performance is fine, but what we need to do before we will hit create, we need to go to the advanced and we need to check something what is called enable hierarchical namespace. So this will allow our storage to behave in the same way our storage on the hard drive behaves, to have the file folders, in the folders subfolders, and then files. And once this is done, I can create it. And once this will finish, I will go to my resource because we want to now create a container. I will look for a storage browser on the left, and this is a place where we can create a containers, blob container, and just create container. This one is very simple, adding some name to our container, top secret container, and we are ready to hit create. So that's about storage. Now we need to look for the access connector, and over here I have access connector for Azure Databricks. So that's another thing which I need to create. So again, the process is the same and the user interface is the same, so it goes pretty smoothly. Create subscription resource group, doesn't matter, and the name top secret connector, and we are ready to hit review and create. And the last thing before we'll be ready to launch our Unity catalog, we have a storage, we have a container, and we have an access connector. The last thing is to give a credentials for the access connector to use that storage. And this is actually a part where I need to check out my notes to remember what I need to do. In total, there are 4 credentials we need to give to our access connector so it can communicate with the storage. 3 of them we will be doing in the storage account directly. 1 of it we will be granting in the resource group where the storage account is located. So first I will grant the 3 credentials in the storage account. So I'm going to again to storage, finding my storage account, It's over here. And the way to do that, it's on the left side we have access control. And right now I can check my accesses over here, check accesses, and manage identity, because this is where we are going to find our access connector, and select an identity. And somewhere over here, I see a top secret connector. So I can check all the credentials assigned to the connector over here. Right now, I don't have any credentials, so this is not a surprise. In order to assign those 3 credentials, I need to click Add and Add Role Assignment. And unfortunately, for the time being, I will need to do it one by one. So the first one is a storage account contributor. And it's over here. So I'm assigning it, so it's highlighted, then clicking Next, clicking again Manage Identity, where our access connector is located, select a member, and finding Manage Identity, all system assigned Manage Identity. In my case, there is 12 because I'm playing around on this account. There is plenty of mess created here, and I'm finding my connector, Top Secret Connector. Click it and select, and then Review and Assigned. And 1 role is added. Now I need to repeat that. Again, add role assignment, finding the second role, which is storage, this time blob data contributor, which is over here, and again, the same process.
Selecting manage identity, add member, finding my connector, select review and assigned.
And a third one, the process is exactly the same, just the third one is called storage queue data contributor. That's the one.
And next, the rest is the same. Review and assigned.
Okay, so 3 roles assigned. We can check it by clicking Check Accesses, selecting our Manage Identity, just to make sure that everything is fine. It's easier to do that right now than later on to troubleshoot. And I see that for my Manage Identity, Top Secret Connector, those 3 roles have been granted. And that looks right. Okay, now I need to go to the resource group, which holds my storage account. So let me go back to the Top Secret Storage overview. And the resource group is this one. And I will repeat the process. Access control, add role assignment. That's the one. Event grid, event subscription contributor.
And click next. This is always killing me. The process is the same. Finding that connector, select.
And that's it. So now we can go back to the account console where we were creating our metastore, and on the left, once we click the catalog and later on create a metastore, and we have a metastore name, then we can, and the region is chosen, then we can provide a link to the storage. And the link to the storage need to have the following format: container name, storage account name, dfs core windows.net, and in my case it will look following. Just I have an error because at the end I need to put a slash. And now I need to give a reference, the ID to access connector. Once I will go back to the access connectors, access connector for Azure, and once I will find my connector, top secret connector, this ID, this reference is over here, resource ID. So I just need to copy it, and then I'm ready to get back to my account console and place it over here. And that's it. I'm ready to create. If we are going to have some errors, problems with the credentials, that will be visible over here. But no, looks like everything is fine. Now we are ready to assign it to the workspace. So I will choose in my case, 2 workspaces, top secret workspace 1 and 2, and click Assigned. And enable Unity Catalog. Yes, please. Perfect. So looks like everything works, but before I will open a champagne, the ultimate test is to go to that workspace and try to create some table. And we are back in our workspace, top secret workspace number 1, and let's go straight away to catalog to see if something has changed. So previously we have saw only the Hive metastore, now we see a My Organization, which is a good sign that metastore has been actually connected from the Unity catalog. And what we can do right now, we can create a catalog inside our metastore, and in the catalog a schema and later on the table. Let's start with the catalog, and here we have a plus, and add a catalog. And the catalog name, it's usually a good practice is to assign it per department, like FBI, and then click create. We will have a couple interesting options on the way, configure catalog, and this one is the most interesting. This option, all workspaces have access, will tell us if we want this catalog to be visible in the workspace, in the another workspace, like our top secret workspace 2. For the time being, we will leave it as it is, and then click next and just save it. And our catalog FBI has been created. Inside we have a schema or the database in Databricks language. Default and information schema. Default is empty. Now we can create a schema and we can use here a medallion architecture nomenclature like bronze, silver, gold. Let's create schema called silver and now create. That was pretty straightforward. And now to demonstrate the further capabilities of the Unity catalog, let's create some tables. And for this purpose, we will create a notebook. So workspace create and notebook. The first necessary thing is to give appropriate names. So of course has to start with word secret, otherwise doesn't work. Secret notebook. And now let's create our table. We need to remember that we have a 3-level schema name. So starting with the catalog, then schema, silver, and then a table name. So here we have very simple table. Let's create straight away a second one. And now normally we could just hit run all, but for the time being we don't have any cluster. And this is a good opportunity to check what type of the clusters we have available and if all of them are compatible with the Unity catalog. So in the compute on the left, create compute, and here we have a couple of types like the personal compute, confirm, or super user, shared, and legacy shared compute. So originally there was different types of the clusters which were not compatible with the Unity catalog. Nowadays most of them are, and we can verify by scrolling down, and in the summary we have here information that this is Unity catalog compatible. If you have some computes, if you have some clusters which you have created before enabling the Unity catalog, most likely you will need to recreate them to have them working with the Unity catalog. But here in the summary you have the information if it's compatible with the Unity catalog. So and just to give you an example, if I would choose a legacy shared compute, confirm, that would not be compatible. But I think that moving forward all of them will be compatible. So let's get back to the personal, let's create some very simple. And just hit create compute. And now we can go back to our notebook. So workspace, secret notebook. Let's connect it to our cluster. Bam, it's already connected and we can hit run all. And after that, let's get back to our catalog and see what options, what functionalities we have available now when the table is there. So we go to the FBI, silver, schema, and we have our two tables. First one, XYZ, and we XYZ next. Yeah, the names are very creative. And we have actually a couple of options over here, but before going through them, I will show you the first characteristics of the good data governance, which is possibility to discover a data. And here in the Unity catalog, we have two ways to search for the data. One is on the top, and we can type what we are looking for, so that's going to be simple, and this will give us a list of the notebooks as well as the tables containing a column or this name. And the second option, I will get back to the catalog, is to search over here. So that's pretty obvious. What is not obvious is that our search will become better if we will populate the description of the column. Like when I go to the overview of the table and I scroll down, here I have my columns. It's extremely important in the good data governance world to always leave a comment, like here, ID of secret agent. And there are at least 3 good reasons why to populate that column, why to populate this description. First of all, we will know, or other people will know, what the data means. The second thing is that it will be easy to discover the interesting for us columns. Now we can type, for instance, agent. I will grab the word agent and I will type it on the top. And here we have that in the tables, in the table XYZ, there is a column 1 which has been described as ID of secret agent. So if somebody is looking for it, it will easily find it. And the third reason is that, and moving forward, there will be more AI in Databricks, and any other solutions which will rely heavily on the metadata. And more columns description we are going to give, better results we are going to get. Okay, so that's a discovery and that's a cataloging, that's the catalog. Let's get back to our table. So we know how to discover data, we know how to catalog our data. The next thing, which I am personally using probably the most frequently besides that, is a data lineage, which is over here. So I'm not going from left to right, I will go through the most interesting one. In this case, a data lineage is telling us which table is consuming a data from our table. I will make it a bit larger and just close this one. Can I close it? Yeah, I should. Okay, and in this case, we see that this is a table which is lineage direction downstream, means that it's consuming a data from our table. If it was upstream, it would mean that we are taking a data from that table. So that's very interesting. And what is even more cool is if we click on the C lineage graph, we are going to see that simple relationship. It's pretty clear that this table relies on the data from this table. So this is pretty cool, because once you will build some tables which will become more and more popular in your company, and you will be after changing that or maybe removing, that's the easy way you can check who is consuming a data from the table and whose day you will make miserable. So let's close this one. Another thing which I'm frequently using is I'm checking the notebooks. Where is the notebook which has created that table, and what are the notebooks which are using those tables? In our case, we wrote everything in one notebook, so it's the same over here. But if we check the lineage direction, that's where we see it, that upstream, meaning populating this table notebook, is this one, and the notebook consuming this data, it's also this one, and the rest is a bit less interesting. So that's about data lineage. Another thing which you should probably know is an access control, which with the Unity catalog is really simplified and it's really nice. I don't know if you noticed, but no matter in which level of the hierarchy in the catalog we were, either on the table, either in the schema, either in the catalog level, all the time we had the tab permissions. This is a tab which allows us in the easy way to grant or revoke accesses to different users or group, depends on which level of the hierarchy we are. If, for instance, we are in the schema and we will go to the permissions and grant access to some users or groups, this will be inherited on the table level. So if we grant, for instance, to the guy additional user, yeah, I actually have a user in the Databricks which is called additional user. That's my creativity. So if I grant this user some privileges, like to modify everything in the schema, it will be inherited on the table level. If I would like to give him only the access to this table or option to see it, then I can go to the table level and manage permissions over here. That's in the theory. In practice, we do that a bit different. So maybe let's start from where is a place where we are creating the new users. The new users are being created on the account level. So let's see how to do that. I will go to the top right and now switch to my account, manage account. And on the left side, I have user management. And here I have my users. If I would like to add a users over here, I would just click add a user, type an email, name and last name, and that's the easy way to add a users to the Databricks. And then in the workspace level, I could potentially, in the theory, give them an accesses to the table schema or the catalog. In practice, in the reality, we do that a bit different. Instead of managing the accesses on the user level, we are managing accesses on the group level. It means that whenever we have a users, then we create a groups. Like in my case, I will go and add new group, add a group name trusted, and hit save. Now I can add the members to that group. So I'm clicking add members. And over here, I'm adding trusted users, of course, like this guy. And I don't know if I can trust this guy, but I will also add him and just click add. And now we are having a group with the two users. Now I will get back to the workspace. And what we do in practice, instead of granting a permissions per user, in practice, in the reality, we grant the permissions always to the whole groups. like trusted. This really simplifies the access management because people are switching a team or leaving the company, and instead of managing the accesses on the user level, we are managing always accesses on the trust level. So to summarize that, we can control accesses on the tables level or views and functions or volumes. We can control accesses on the schema level. We also have here a tab permission. We can do the same on the catalog level. And also, if we get back to the catalog console, we also have here some options to control accesses. If I will go to the catalog, and here we have our metastores, and I will choose the metastore, then over here I can choose who is going to be my metastore admin. So that's another place where I can control accesses. And if I go to the workspaces, I can choose an admin for this specific workspace. In the permissions, over here, clicking add permission and selecting user or admin, period. So what I would suggest to do right now is I would suggest to switch the top secret workspace to and see if we can see our FBI catalog created in the workspace number 1. That's a catalog in the workspace 1. Let's switch to the workspace 2, which is over here. And now let's go to the catalog. And what we will find out is the catalogs created in one workspace are visible in the workspace number 2. But the reason for that is because we allowed to be searchable in other workspaces. Now being in the workspace number 2, we can create a catalog which will be private, which will not be visible for other workspaces. If you remember, we are going to click add catalog, and let's name it You Don't See Me, of course, and then create, configure catalog, and if we will uncheck that option, all workspaces have access, and just click next and save. We have a catalog You Don't See Me visible in the workspace number 2, as well as catalog FBI from the workspace number 1. But if we will switch back to the workspace number 1 and just refresh, we see only FBI, because this time we have created a catalog which is somehow private for the workspace number 2. So this is another really cool thing about the Unity catalog. We can create a data sets, the catalogs with the schemas and the tables, which are shareable between the workspaces if we want. And this is fairly simple. By default they are shareable, and we can make them private if we want. Probably the default should be reversed. By the default those shouldn't be visible, but it is what it is. There is no reason to complain. Let's get back to our catalog, actually to some table, to see if we have missed anything from the Unity catalog. So I will go to Silver and our table. So right now we are in the Overview tab, and on the bottom we have very important cataloging of the data, meaning adding the description to the columns. Then the next table, it's a sample data, very useful. This requires actually a compute up and running. Right now we have some small compute, so it works. And then we have some details, standard things, permissions we already discussed, history, very useful, kind of auditing. So this is exactly what we are going to get if we would run describe history and the name of the table. So whoever created, modified or deleted the table, that's going to be reflected over here. Then we have a data lineage, which we discussed, insights, which I actually really like, because this is a tab which gave us a sense if our table is being used or not. And of course, everybody wants his tables to be used. In our case, this table XYZ has been used 4 times, and there is no further statistics because it's very fresh table and wasn't used too much. But actually I really like this tab. This gave us the impression, this gave us the feedback if we are doing the right job or not. And I will just check by curiosity the same tab just in the second table, and no usage over here. That seems fine. But for this table we have some usage, and at the end there is a tab which I'm not a big fan of it, which is responsible for creating a dashboard about the quality. And I will tell you why I'm not a big fan of it. Overall, the idea is that Databricks wanna give us automatically some sort of the dashboards which will help us to identify if we have an issue with the data, some sort of observability mechanism. So the idea is good, but implementation, in my opinion, not so much. Anyway, let's try to create some quality dashboards to see how it looks like. And here we have create monitor for this table. this will not fly in that workspace. I will tell you why, but that in the second. And here we can choose a type of profiling we want to do. We have 3 types of the profiling which we can choose for the time being: time series, snapshot, and inference. I will go with the snapshot, which should give us the overview of what's the data quality of our table. And I would like to hit create, but it doesn't work because I have some errors in the advanced tab. Over here, this path does not exist, so I will change it to the temporary. Okay, hit create just to get additional error, which will tell me does this type of the quality monitoring require serverless compute. And that's a clear information. We need to get back to the account console and enable serverless compute. So actually I have it open over here. And if I go to the settings and features enablement, I have the serverless compute as the first one. And this is already enabled, but the quality doesn't work. And the reason is that I'm idiot and I completely forgotten that you cannot create the serverless compute in the UK West. Serverless compute is not available in all the regions. Fortunately, to demonstrate you that quality feature, I have one workspace where I'm pretty sure that serverless compute works over there, and this workspace is marketing team. So I will go to the catalog, and here I have different catalog schema, but just stay with me. And in that catalog I have some schemas, and in the schema I have a table flight. So now I am in a bit different workspace because I have forgotten that there is no serverless compute in the UK West, and I have forgotten that the quality requires a serverless compute. I will go back to the quality tab over here, and I will create a metric and I will create a monitor for the quality for that table flights over here. So let me repeat those steps. I will hit get started. It's just to show you how it looks like, so you are aware, you are familiar with all the new things in the Databricks. And I will choose again snapshot, go to advanced to fix some errors. I will change that path to something what exists, temporary, and hit create. I have the information that monitoring is pending, and this should take like a couple of seconds, maybe a minute, and it's done. It was actually very fast. And now I have an option view dashboards. I have the same option on the top, open in the dashboards. So let's click view dashboards, and this will take us to the standard default quality dashboards prepared by a Databricks for our table, which is right now loading. A warehouse is starting, and here we have charts and metrics. Not too many of them because the table is fresh, but those are the charts and metrics prepared as the Databricks, which believes are a good starting point. So we have here things like row count over a time, which I fully agree with that. It's important to monitor how the number of the volume of the data is growing in our table. Then we have number of the nulls. It's assumption that this is important for us. Similar number of the zeros over time, and so on. You can launch it and you can go through those dashboards, through those charts, which I think this is very generic. I don't think that this will fit anybody, besides the fact that probably it's a good starting point to start working on our own dashboards for the quality or what we can call it observability. But check it out, and here comes another thing which is really annoying. I will get back right now to the catalog, and I will find my table which was in that catalog and in that schema. And because I have launched those quality dashboards, now in my schema I don't have anymore a business clean nice table flights, but I have also two technical messy tables, flights underscore drift metrics and flights profile metrics, which I get it. Those are a table necessary for the quality dashboards we have seen a second ago, but why those were created in the same schema where I'm keeping my clean, nice data for the business users, which I always pay attention to be so clean, well described and tidy so the business user can navigate. Now, besides my business data, I have also those messy technical tables created over here, which is really annoying. And actually I have a theory that in the Databricks there is a team, or at least a person, whose job is to think how they can piss me off, how they can annoys me, and every time there is something new, they come up with one small thing which is just super irritating for me. But that's only maybe me. But at the end of the day, we need to be open. If you are using a quality tab and you like it, just make sure that you leave a comment. How do you do that and what do you get out of it? Maybe I'm missing something. Okay, I think that it's a good time to get back and review topics related with the Unity catalog which we can expect on the Databricks exams. Okay, and what I did, I just opened a different exams from the Databricks and I just listed down everything where we have the Unity catalog, so just you know what to expect. Maybe they will come up with something new, but for the time being, those are the topics. First one, identifying one of 4 areas of the data governance. So there is more areas than 4, but whenever Databricks means 4 areas, what they mean is data discovery, which we have seen, auditing, which we also have seen, the history of what was happening with the data, access control, we know it very well, and the data lineage. Very simple. So basic functionalities. Compare and contrast metastore and catalog. So metastore, it's a level up. It can have multiple catalogs, and catalogs are created on the workspace level. And metastore, on the other hand, can have multiple workspaces. So that's simple. We have metastore, catalog, schemas, tables, views, volumes, or functions. Identify Unity Catalog securables. So basically where we can set up the permissions, we can set up on the metastore level, catalog, schema, table view, volume level. Also simple, we already saw that. Define a service principal. We spoke about it very briefly. That's an account which we are creating for the purpose of the software, not for the purpose of the human. So that's a service principal. Identify cluster security modes compatible with the Unity catalog. So this is an old topic. Right now, as you have seen, everything besides the legacy compute works with the Unity catalog, and we could recognize it when in the summary box we had the information Unity catalog. It means that it's Unity catalog compatible. Next one, create Unity compatible all-purpose cluster. We have done that. Identify how to query three-layer namespace. So whenever we are querying a table, we need to give a catalog.schema. And the table name. Alternatively, we can write use catalog.schema and then we can do a select without giving the full path, but by the default catalog, schema, and the table name. Next one, implement data object access control. So we have done this, we know how to do that. Identify collocating metastore with workspace as best practice. So we are putting workspace and the metastore always in the same region, and we can have only one metastore per region. The next one, identify using service principal for connections as the best practices. And again, we already spoken about it. So service principal, that's something what we are creating for applications, not for the users. It's the same account, just for the application. Okay, that's it when it's going about a short introduction to the data governance with the Databricks and Unity catalog. Let me know in the comment section what you think. Definitely it's a massive improvement versus a Hive metastore. That's it for today. Thanks for watching and see you soon. So if I grant this user some privilege